Hey guys, it's Matt. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry if you're an exception to this. Modern quote man and woman is so soft compared to our ancestors and those that came before us, of course, including myself. Gusts here up to 50 miles an hour. Of course, the electricity's going to go out. Of course. Right about 1 o'clock in the morning, vomp, it goes out. And when the tree limbs, I mean, the gusts are so high at times that some of the tree limbs are kind of touching, and you can kind of hear that at times. It is a little spooky. I mean, it just goes vomp, and the temperature's not ridiculously cold here. The wind chills in the teens, but I think it only got into the high 20s, or in the middle of the night was the high 20s. We actually had a 50-degree day just for a short period of time yesterday morning. So it wasn't ridiculously cold. It was people in Minnesota and North Dakota and Montana would laugh at this, but of course, in a way, it's like, well, Matt's hardcore because he got up and built a fire. But in a way, it's because I'm a wuss. I was scared. I was scared. It wasn't, of course, 1 o'clock. I've got to build a fire. We're so soft, Matt. Speak for yourself. In general, we are so soft. But you just every room I'm going in, and I've lost electricity up here cumulatively. I've been down almost 2 months. I've been here 20. Oh boy, is it 24 years? I have to calculate. But all the times added up, with the one time being 7 days no electricity. I don't say we don't have power anymore. I don't fall into that word trap anymore. I try to say we don't have electricity. And the one time was 7 days, one time was 6 days. So that's basically 2 weeks right there. And then, a few hours here or a day here. It's close to 2 months. So I'm a little skittish to it just because it's happened so many times up here. Had to run the generator so many times. And so, of course, I've got to get up at 1 in the morning and build a fire and go flying. Every light switch you put on, you're so used to it. You walk around the corner. Of course, it doesn't work because we're so used to it. We're so soft. We're so and oh, is the food going to spoil the from me? Come on. It was restored by 4 in the morning. It was restored. I told you there's somebody that works for the electric company, one of my neighbors around here, and he usually does a good job for us. We tend to get some really good service because almost always when I'm affected, he's affected. And anyway, so I'm in the garage with a flashlight, kindling. Of course, I'm one of these, as like a prepper, like always, tons of kindling, tons of dry wood, just kept because there's always me planning for something. It seems in a way it seems hardcore, but it's not. It's the opposite of that. It's because well, anyway. So one of them, little flashlights, build the damn fire. Zara knows something's wrong in the house. So I've got, I pull the blanket down, sleep on the couch in front of the fire downstairs. I mean, Matt, you're acting like it's, you're living in Nome, Alaska, and there's a 2 week spell coming in where high temperatures are 5 degrees and lows are -20, and there's a major issue with the electric grid, and you've got to hunker down for 2 weeks. That's what I was acting like. It was ridiculous. I knew there's no major snowstorm here. There's no major. I knew there's nothing that would keep them from restoring, but I'm poking around in the middle of the night and then sleeping in front of the fire. Anyway, guys, I don't know why I'm mentioning this, but of course I'm up back to bed at 4 something, back to sleep at 4:30. So I'm a little giddy. Of course, full electric here this morning. It's just about 7 a.m. So I just wanted I want to talk more about this in the future. We are so soft, this generation compared to our ancestors. There are many of you. I know many of you live in rural wherever, and you experience these electrical outages like I do, even with a lot more regularity. But if you don't, there are a lot of people. Those that live rural don't understand this, or it's hard to imagine. There are people that live like suburbs Chicago or suburbs, Philadelphia, where I am here, and I have friends, and I said, have you lost electricity since you moved into that townhouse 15 years ago? And they said, no. Like never. We browned out a few times or we lost electricity for 45 minutes. These people live in townhouses in these communities or apartment buildings. They've never gone down. If that's the case with you, I'll move on, guys. I know this subject's getting a little bit long. I've got a lot of other things I want to talk to you about. And because the winds are still blowing, I'm going to record in smaller segments just in case. It's with the family. It is such a good idea. If you only have to do it once, and it's not the same because you're throwing the breaker box yourself. Oh, you're throwing the breaker box yourself, but you just have to do it once with the family, or maybe surprise them. I don't know. Well, that they wouldn't take because the kids have their little they have to be on social media. Just won't throw the breaker, and then sit there. There's no phone. Well, there is still phones. So that's for me it doesn't matter because I have a flip phone. I have no access to social media anyway. But you'd have to have the experience seem real. You'd have to take away the phones from the kids, sit there in the dark, find the old Monopoly game. The family should do this at least once every few years. Because again, there's just for those that live rurally, you just don't understand. There's a lot of people in these communities, in the suburbs or in the cities, where they've literally almost never experienced a prolonged electrical outage, and when it happens in the heart of January or something, it is a little creepy and spooky. Okay, guys, there's a lot more to talk about. Let me end this. Went over to look at the headlines on behalf of Duluth and Dubuque. I'm sure some of you have seen this. This is I don't even know what to say. DOJ finds 1 million new documents related to Epstein. A million. They're just making shit up at this point. It doesn't even make any sense. It says many of the headlines say found, like it was in a trunk somewhere. They didn't even know about 1 million. How's it? What for people visiting an island and $1 million? It's not. I can't even. I don't even know how to talk about it. It's so ridiculous. It's just what keeps popping into my head is when Simi went to ask for more money from King Jaffe Joffer, and remember she said, "Will you read this, dear King Jaffe?" The woman was Jaffe Joffer. Please send funds immediately. He says, "You sure 500,000's enough? You do not think that would be too much? Nah. Why not go for a cool 1 million papers related to the Epstein and Steiner files?" That's what I think. That's what happened with Notnilk or whatever AI is behind the fake headlines. The AI was combing over that scene in Trading and Coming to America, and she said, "Why don't you go for a cool 1 million?" And that's what the headline. It decided the headline would be regarding documents found regarding the Epstein Steiner files. I don't even know how to make fun of it anymore. Reality, not Nilk reality. If you're listening to me, you have jumped the shark. 1 million documents just coming up after 6 or 7 years of investigation. This is well, you know what would be believable reality or not Nilk reality if you're listening to me through your AI systems? 7 new documents. Something like that, or 4 documents that reveal certain things. 1 million? If you keep doing this, asshole dark and plumber's ass crack, you're even the dumbest of the dumb may catch on that it's all bullshit. This is ridiculous. 1 million new documents. Real quick, guys, look at this. Can you believe they're bringing these two degenerates back? They're bringing these clowns back to do the New Year's Eve show. It's Anderson Cooper with Andy Cohen. Well, Anderson Cooper's. I think they're starting to wise up. They're not even putting Anderson Cooper's face in the promo or in the ads or in the billboards. Not that Andy Cohen is a big attraction to anybody, but Anderson Cooper just turns people off. Have you ever seen him smile? It's almost like they said, who could we get for a 20-year show? I think he's been doing it's probably pushing 20 years, just like every element of the stalled century just never goes away. This is stalled century. It's almost like they got together in a room, they booked us in a room and said, who's the most unexciting, boring, stale personality of all time that nobody wants to see on New Year's Eve? And somebody in the back said, we have Anderson Cooper available. Many of you may remember I made a video about a year ago about sharing life tips between and amongst us in this community. And shame on Matt for not keeping up with it. A few of you have actually. Every once in a while I'll see life tip. Don't use the hashtag. Use just in caps life tip. And I need to do a much better job on this. I'll just do a short segment here, probably try to keep it under 3 or 4 minutes. And then we'll try to do more of this, me sharing with you, but you in general. If it's a life tip about something unrelated to what we're talking about, put it in the comments. I mean, it really should be 10 to 15% of what this channel and what this community is about at this point. So this is the time of year, going into the heart of winter. Thaddeus would want to remind everybody about how dangerous and unhealthy the blue light is. I know many of you know this, so I'll be brief, and how supportive and nourishing the red light is, or in terms of aligning one's frequency. Light skewed to the red, light skewed to the blue. So in general, I mean, Thaddeus would give us a sliding scale. Of course, the sun is number one in terms of nourishing light, light that aligns your frequency correctly. I don't sun gaze or anything like that. I know it can be dangerous. I have no recommendations on that. I generally will look a little bit away from the sun, but allow it, just the sun's over here, I'll look away. I don't look into it. I don't get into that. I allow it, though, to come into my eyes. I actually open my mouth. Whenever I do this in the summer, too, I'll let it come into my mouth, into my teeth. The back of the throat is a very thin skin. I believe this. Thaddeus didn't tell me this. This is just something instinctively I believe is beneficial. It's just completely based on instinct that I do. Not recommending you do it. But of course, Thaddeus would say sunlight is best. Then a fire, looking at a fireplace or the fire embers in a stove, that is a light that's very skewed to the red. It helps with sleep cycles. It helps with, depression, frequency. I can't speak to it like Thaddeus would. But as you go down the scale, I would say there's a light that people put above saltwater fish tanks that keep corals alive and anemones and things like that. Now, that's called a metal halide. If something can mimic the sun and corals thrive in a fish tank, then it's the frequency of it is pretty darn good. I don't know how you would get something like that for the home. I think halogen, it would be probably next, although halogen is not the same. I don't believe it's a metal halide. Again, probably a little bit more skewed to the red. And then, of course, right in the middle of our sliding scale would be the regular old-fashioned light bulb, where they just simply don't exist anymore. I started to buy them up. I guess it was 12 to 15 years ago, when Not Milk announced that all the regular light bulbs will be going away. And even though, maybe 15 years ago, the infancy of our truth pursuit, I knew enough back then that if Not Milk wants to get rid of something, and I didn't even call it Not Milk back then, if this system, this good government wants to get rid of something, well, it must be pretty darn good. Buy it up. Like at the end of Trading Places, buy, Wilson, get in there and sell, buy. So I started, I probably have, 15 left, something like that, because I don't turn too many lights on here. So I bought them up, but you'd have to get them at a yard sale or import them from Mexico or something. Of course, they've been eliminated here because they're probably still kind of healthy for you compared to what they want to push down everybody's throats. I've got to wrap this up. It's getting too long. The blue light. The light's skewed to the blue light. Anything you could buy now, even if it looks like a light bulb, it's going to be skewed to the blue. Tube fluorescence. Thaddeus would tell you this light skewed to the blue will just screw you up. Throw off sleep cycles, throw off frequency. Who knows how it affects the mind? Bulbs, people changing their bulbs out in their cars and trucks and putting in LCD. Oh, this is just horrible for health. And I guess you generally know what I'm saying here, so I'll wrap it up. Matt, you don't have much to share in the first place on this subject. So Thaddeus would want to remind us, and this is my life tip. I'll be doing much more of this, and I hope we do much more of this, because shame on Matt for not keeping this up. I forgot a few things about the light, guys, just 1 minute or less. The greatest example of this is like if you have a hallway dome light where the old ones 20 years ago, three bulbs that would screw in. Now everybody's replacing that because at Home Depot and Lowe's, the new dome lights, if you take the dome glass off, there's no bulb there. It's just like it's like a computer grid. It's right out of a movie or something. It's like a sci-fi movie. How does it even produce light? See, this is the greatest example of going from decent to absolutely horrible for you. And everybody's attracted to these dome lights because it's something ridiculous. Did it say 40,000 hours of continuous use? Something ridiculous is on the box. You could basically leave it on for years and years and years, and it'll just stay on. And they want you to do that because it's very harmful for you versus the old dome light. And of course, if you screw in two bulbs or three, you have to be able to find the old bulbs. But I bet, just instinctively, you probably could import them in from another country or something like that. But these new dome lights, where there's not even a bulb, it's just some panel. That would absolutely, I bet Thaddeus would agree, would absolutely one of the greatest examples of people moving from what was okay for you to what was very harmful. Here's a quick headline that needs to be made fun of for just about a minute before we move on. The Trump administration to start garnishing the wages of defaulted student loan borrowers. Now, how did that backroom conversation go? What's next up on the president's agenda? Yes, Ed, you have something for the president? He's a busy man. We only have 15 minutes. What do you have, Ed? Well, sir, all these little sons of bitches that borrowed money to go to their colleges that are $100,000 more expensive than they should be, our statistics show, sir, that about 500,000 of them aren't paying the loans back. What do they still call it Pell Grant or whatever today? About 500,000 little son of bitches. They're not paying it back, sir. What do we do? This is a real problem. First off, send them a letter. Ask them if they've ever seen Goodfellas. This is how it starts. You know what we do next? Garnish the wages. We're going to go right out to the corporations they work for and take it right from their paycheck. Well, that's a great idea, sir, except there's one problem. They're not working. Isn't that the big problem here? You would think the ones that went to Wall Street or the ones that went to the HR department of ExxonMobil in Texas and have a real job, that group's probably paying. It's the ones smoking dope on their couches of their parents they're not, sir, there's no wages to garnish. This group isn't working. That's not the greatest idea, to garnish the wages. Okay, well, send him that Goodfellas letter and send him Goodfellas in a VCR box with a VHS tape. Tell him this is how it starts. Looking at the headlines here, guys, other than the million new documents for the Epstein or Steiner files, a million. There's not a whole lot here, but I guess a million new documents gives them a lot of, you could say, material, comedic material. The documents are blank. They're going to make shit up with the Gronk and the Chat GPT as it goes, I guess. I guess there's not a lot here because when you have a million new documents, you have 20-some years of material. Are they going to carry it forth this long? But there are some funny headlines here. Here's a really funny headline related to the Kennedy Center. It says a growing number of artists are canceling performances at the Kennedy Center after its board of trustees voted to add President Trump's name to the building. They're canceling performances. Earlier this month, the board approved renaming the venue from the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts to the Donald J. Trump and John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts. Did he make sure put that son of a bitch, that J, make sure the font is 20% smaller than the font for me, Jack Burton, Donald J. Trump. So guys, please remember that everything that comes out of the Trump script in terms of not milk reality is there to piss you off, to piss the masses off, or to try to appease its little group of supporters, his little group of supporters that weld the flag on the back of the pickup truck. It's all there for loose creation. Renaming, who was really pleased that he renamed the Gulf of America? Nobody wanted that. Give the Mexicans their due. Guys. Okay, now I'm not going to say the name. There's somebody that I care about. There's somebody I respect. One of the absolute old guard members of our community. There was a comment a few weeks back about not, I mean, about Trump, and I don't understand the comment. I really, um, there's no chance that any president is working for you or what you want or your goals. They will do certain things on paper that look good from time to time. But my comment back was, how do you know those things are even being done? It will have to it will have to appease certain sides by saying, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and aren't you happy with me doing this and that? But there's no possible way a U.S. president is working for you. I don't, or looking out for you. It's not possible. My comment back was, okay, this may look good, wants to do this and stop certain trafficking or whatever, but what evidence is there any of it's even being done? I mean, okay, guys, this is, politics is 100% a not nil script. None of it is ever to benefit real people. Pootie Tang Award, yes, but we have some new people here. So, I mean, again, just with the Trump script, it's just endless ways to piss people off. Mostly, of course, to piss off the liberals. Of course, that's his role here at Downsar. And he says, just like Rodney Dangerfield, this is, I guess, this is what they believe happened. It's all a script. He said, you need government funding to keep your doors open, don't you sons of bitches up there in the Kennedy Center? You want the funding to come in this year? You change the name. You make my font 50 point. You make that JFK son. You put his at 20 point. And you went in. What's the new name? I renamed this building after myself, the Rodney Dangerfield in Back to School. I mean, it's nothing other than to piss people off. Okay, Pootie Tang Award, but guys, I have to do this from time to time. And then people are canceling performances. I guess, low-level artists believe they need to follow that script and stick to their liberal ideals and, whatever. Bruce Springsteen will cancel performance, but he's more of a high-level, not milk stooge. I mean, he knows it. People that there are some entertainers, I believe, that have a clue as to the game being played here, although most are, of course, useful idiots. So anyway, guys, just wanted to talk about that. Here's a funny headline. Actor George Clooney and his family have been granted French citizenship after he previously voiced concern about raising his children in Hollywood. Official government documents listing all new French naturalizations include Clooney, as well as his wife, Amal, A-M-A-L, a male. Clooney. That's like Cher, see her. And they're 8-year-old twins. They're 8-year-old twins. That's the 88. In an October interview, this is breaking down. Now this is breaking down. We're just going to have fun at this point. In an October interview with Esquire, Clooney said he wanted his children to have a normal, private childhood. So let me get this straight. George, if you're listening and used to be a listener, I hope you're still here. You're moving to France. So you want you want to raise your kids in a quiet, private atmosphere. This country, remember what Jack Nicholson did in The Departed when he was negotiating with the Chinese. In this country, that's one of the greatest parts. See, they brought automatic weapons he brought his microchips. In this country, I remember that. It was so funny. George, in this country, there's tens of thousands of miles of rural in West Texas and Arkansas and Idaho and even in Colorado, and you don't need to go to France. You don't need to go to that liberal hellhole. Well, just stay here, George. I mean, it's one thing if you want to get out of Hollywood. I understand that. I lived in Los Angeles, as many of you know, from 96 to 99, the beginning part of 99, before the job shipped me up to San Francisco. After you do the Sunset Strip, as a young man, 2 or 3 weeks in a row, you're like, okay, I've seen this, and I don't ever want to come back here again. Hollywood Boulevard is seedy. It's disgusting. The Hollywood Hills, you look up, and that's no escape. You're up in the smog and shit. I understand you want to get out of L.A., but I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of choices, and you don't have to go to France. You find yourself go down to downtown Paris probably every week now. Is this some sort of labor dispute and Molotov cocktails through the storefront windows and shit? And I mean, that's no place to raise a child, George. Okay, Matt, he's following a script too. Of course, of course. He probably got a call one day. George, you're moving to France because we need the headline. Yes, yes, not milk. Right away, not milk. Yeah, yes, not milk. I mean, you know, he's okay. He's been made a naturalized citizen of France. He probably won't leave the Hollywood Hills. Anyway, some of these headlines are hilarious. Guys, I'm sure most of you would say this has been going on for a long time, but it's new to me. I guess I'm listening to the radio more when I get into the car to run errands more than I ever have. The Christmas music continuing in Philadelphia here. I'm sure, Matt, you guys are going to say, Matt, this has been going on for 20 years. It's new to me. Again, I'm sure it's been going on. But 2 stations or so in the Philadelphia area, maybe more, continuing Christmas music until New Year's. I couldn't think of anything worse. Especially, no, you know, I told you guys, I tried to get into it, put a few decorations up, but, you know, I try to get into it, make it our own, and I don't run from it, I don't hide from it the way I used to, like I've said in other videos. But getting into the car and flipping around, is it B101? It says extended Christmas. You know it's lovely weather for a sleigh ride together with you. Okay, well that's holiday sleigh ride. Oh, but then it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. No, it's not. It's fucking past. There's nothing worse to me than having the Christmas music after, because Christmas Day comes. It's depressing. You just feel the energies crash. And I told you, I've been usually very slow, and I have little decorations and things, and like I told you, some things that Eva sent me, and you know, I usually put it away slowly, but it was like soon Christmas Day, come back from my mother's a dinner with my stepfather, just cram it all in the box. I wanted it away, gone, and then to get in a car and to hear the music, it was so strange to me, so inappropriate. So just no, turn it off, and we'll get into that next year. Okay, I'm sure this has been happening for a long time, but I just was kind of taken aback. Like who would listen to this after? Okay, sorry, it didn't come out the way I wanted, but I'm not going to re-record. Some people may consider it a Christmas movie, but I think most people would not. I saw it for the second time. It's a pretty darn good movie, although I loathe Nicolas Cage. The Family Man, not The Family Guy, that's the cartoon, right? The Family Man, where, is it Don Cheadle? He says, I'm going to give you a glimpse, a glimpse of what your life could have been like. He's like some hedge fund manager or mergers and acquisitions on Wall Street or something like that. And he wakes up married to Tia Leone, 2 kids, I guess. He's a tire salesman at Ed's tire shop, just a regular or blue-collar, middle-class lifestyle. They don't have a lot of money. He was driving a Ferrari. So there's just something about it, and I am not a big fan of Nicolas Cage. I mean, oh boy, I do like Moonstruck. It's almost like I don't even see Nicolas Cage. I see Johnny Camilleri. Not Johnny Camilleri, Ronnie. He's a troubled man. Ronnie Camilleri. I see Ronnie. I don't see Nicolas Cage, although he's an actor that plays himself. Not with himself. He plays, it's just always Nicolas Cage. He's an actor. Matt Damon in most movies plays himself, as we've talked about many times over the years. I saw part of The Talented Mr. Ripley the other day, and it was more like Mr. Ripley. I didn't see Matt Damon as clearly as we typically do, but Nicolas Cage is one of the worst, other than Keanu Reeves, who just plays himself. But The Family Man is a pretty darn good movie. It really is. Maybe I watch it, or I'm a little bit more interested. I have no wife, no kids, not much of anything. But maybe I watch it. No, I was no hedge fund trader or whatever. But you know, I was like for this middle class lifestyle. When 1996, when the insurance company shipped me out to Los Angeles, you know, for that level of whatever involvement I had with not milk corporations. I was a young hotshot in sales for the insurance company, and you know, I wasn't Nick Cage, and you know, he's doing $1 billion deals. But, 90, then in 99, they shipped me up to San Francisco, which was a promotion. And, at that level, which is small, I'm a young man and a hot shit. And again, like a complete child of the Matrix, just looking what car to lease and didn't know anything about truth or, obviously didn't know anything about anything. So after, when I started my own brokerage, which was, and I told you that failed, I started that in 2007. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And then I was doing the truth pursuits and watching all the stuff and watching the Alex Jones and watching the Glenn Beck all at the same time. And that pursuit is not compatible with trying to sell corporations insurance. And so it just petered out and failed, as you know. But the point is, so I went from hot shot, in the insurance company, which I quit the insurance company in 2002. The big insurance company, moved back to Philadelphia from San Francisco. I went from that into truth, into, the dark. I don't like the dark night of the soul, but those types of most of my relationships with friends and close friends other than Tony ended, and, family started to think I was a little strange. Obviously, you know what I'm talking about. So there was never a family, a wife, a kid. So I guess what I'm saying is maybe I watched The Family Man because that's like my little glimpse, that what would that be like, because again, not that I was coming from where Nick Cage was coming from. It's almost like a glimpse for me. And I don't have any regrets or anything. Absolutely not. This is what you can't do this. The pursuit of truth that I've done in terms of the thousands of videos I've made and putting myself out there, my name, my face, everybody knows where I live. I couldn't do this if I had a wife and, I would choose that. But just so you know, it's a modern era. I would choose a wife. You know what I mean? Not that there's wrong with the other choices, but that's what and I couldn't have a wife and kids and do what I do. I'd worry for them. I mean, just it wouldn't. And obviously, the not milk. 4 years ago when I started to send resumes in, 4 or 5 years ago, I started sending resumes in, thinking to pay my bills, I'd have to go back into some corporation as some HR department and sit in a cube. I was, I didn't want to have to leave the house. As I told you guys, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds submitted with nothing, blacklisted by the HR computers, that I'm doing something on social media that they don't approve of. Obviously, it was the Texas Shrugged YouTube channel, which was a lot more hardcore than this channel because YouTube allowed it to be. Mall events, school events, this is illegitimate. This is ketchup and not real all that stuff. Just doing all the Russian vid stuff back. And of course, every single resume I sent in didn't even make it to any person. It was blacklisted. Of course, it just never went anywhere. I was told after I put in 1,000 hours of work, I was told in the back end after years that you're wasting your time. It's never even getting to a real person, a real set of eyes. So anyway, The Family Man, guys, it's pretty darn good. Even if you're not looking at it or watching the movie for maybe the same reasons I'm watching the movie. Guys, I don't follow news headlines very closely, but we've all heard so much at this point about Venezuela, Trump targeting Maduro, the dictator down there that took over after Chavez, attacks on drug boats and now attacks on Venezuelan infrastructure. I had to go off for a few minutes and just say, what do they say is happening here? Of course, that's not what's really happening. I don't think I'm going to get to the bottom right now because this whole news item is new to me, but what do they say is happening? So the best summary, we'll just do 45 seconds here. From the BBC, why is Trump focusing on Venezuela? Trump blames Maduro for the arrival of hundreds of thousands of Venezuelan migrants into the United States. They're among close to 8 million Venezuelans estimated to have fled the country's economic crisis and repression since it started in 2013. Without providing evidence, Trump has accused Maduro of emptying his prisons and insane asylums and forcing its inmates to migrate to the United States. So let me get this straight. It's all up to Venezuela. The United States had no say as to, yo no sé, had had no say if anybody came in or not. I mean, I can hear some liberal yelling in my ear that, or some conservative, some hardcore Trumper saying that it was under the Biden administration, Matt, who let them all in. That's why they play this game, guys. It was under Trump wouldn't have let them in, but they all came in under Biden because during the Biden years, Venezuela was also in an economic crisis of that time. So Trump's trying to repair it. Oh, come on. Also targeting drug running boats, and it's guys. We'll talk about this in another video. The Not Milk probably has big plans for Venezuela, and it's very patient. The bad guys associated with Venezuela, having the bad, evil dictators, it goes back to Chavez, and that goes back like 30 years, or wasn't it? Was maybe just 20 something when Chavez first got into power. I know he's no longer there. His face is no longer on Venezuelan Christmas cookies. He went kaput or something. And then Maduro took over. Oh, he's worse. And the Not Milk is very interested in Venezuela for its own reasons. The economic crisis, of course, is 100% Not Milk caused. It's not caused by bad leadership or dictators, and it's very patient. It's been playing this out. There's been bad actors and bad leadership and evil doers in Venezuela for so long now that Trump just has to take action and has to. Guys, it is. I hear you. Pootie Tang Award, and it's. You're just Matt. You're just stating the obvious. Look, I had to take a few minutes to see what they're saying. Okay, some people would say there is this de facto little pseudo war is escalating for what? I mean, what's if anything were real? Let's just enough of this. I don't even know how to talk about it. It's so ridiculous. And we'll end with this nonsense. Beyoncé declared the 5th billionaire musician by Forbes. Beyoncé, are you still a listener? Congratulations on the enormity of your success. Now, does that money include Jay-Z's money? Are you jointly married like that, or you keep separate accounts? I think they're talking about separate. And Jay-Z's a billionaire in his own right, that son of a bitch. I think they mean just Beyoncé, not combined money. Does it really matter? You can only plop your big fat ass in one car and drive one car at a time. You can't hang your left foot out the door and drive 2 cars at once. You can only do one thing at a time. I mean, once you have a certain amount of money in this world, and not even that much, you can't do anything more with the money. It just sits in accounts. I mean, let's just say if you had $20 million, is there anything you could think of that you couldn't do? Well, I want to buy a section of the Great Wall. I mean, come on. Is there anything you couldn't do? No. I mean, why do you have to? Why do you have to be a billionaire? Okay, Beyoncé, number 1. Congratulations on the enormity of your success. But see, honey, sweetie, sweetheart, someday, even though you're a sequential incarnation, likely, she could be the same spiritual being that you and I are. People are all the time. Bill will tell you. Bill knows these tragic stories personally. People will be pulled under the dragon's wing. Real spiritual beings. They're not all sequentials. So it doesn't really matter. But one day she's going to wake up, probably just in a few weeks, and say, what was all this? Say, let's just assume she's a real spiritual being. Matt, if she's a sequential, she's not going to have these realizations. I agree. But if she's like us, she's like, was it worth selling my soul for? Here I am on my way out. Nobody much cares about me or my old movie roles like Foxy Cleopatra in Goldmember. I love gold. Nobody gives a shit about what I did, and nobody's listening to my music anymore. And I'm kind of a has-been. Maybe I'll do a Super Bowl again coming up. But you'll wake up one day and say, what was it all for? Was it worth? She'll say, and others will say, was it worth selling my soul over? Okay, great. Here's an account statement that shows combined assets over $1 billion. And I know people come in and say, Matt, it's just one of these stars. She doesn't have access to that money, just like you say Elon Musk doesn't have full access to his money. I hear you. Probably not. But even if it is their money, they certainly can't do any good with it. There's no question about that. They will come in, or maybe Bono will have the honor, will come in and declare her a philanthropist. And once you're declared a philanthropist, that means no good can ever come from your money. People, you don't need $1 billion to be declared a philanthropist. The not no probably comes in a lot sooner than that. It just means you pass your money to one nonprofit that does nothing for the poor or the needy, and then they pass their money around, and so on and so on and so forth and so on. And the money just goes around and round and round and round, and tax write-offs. And nobody, as I've said many times, not one can of chunky soup finds its way to needy people in the United States or Africa. That when you get declared a philanthropist, then you probably need their permission to spend the money. Beyonce, now that you a billionaire, you a philanthropist. You can't do shit with your money. You could just stare at it on a piece of paper. You get paperless delivery. You could stare at your accounts online. Was it worth it, Beyonce? Was it worth it? And if I could ask you one personal question, sweetie, what's it like being married to Jay-Z? How horrible would that be? Anyway, I'll leave you with that, folks. I'm sorry if anybody's eating.